The person you love just admitted this about you, and it wasn't to you. God says, my child. Slow your breath. Stay here. Do not rush this moment. Because what I am about to speak was not said loudly. It was not announced. It was confessed quietly. When you were not present. And yet your soul felt it. You have been sensing a shift you could not explain. A heaviness mixed with calm. A strange pull toward their energy without any message or reason. This is because the person you love admitted something about you in a moment when their heart slipped before their control could catch it. They did not plan to speak. They did not rehearse the words. It happened when they were tired of holding everything in. When pretending felt exhausting. When silence asked for honesty. They spoke about you slowly. Carefully. As if each word carried weight. As if saying your name made the room feel different. My child. They did not describe you casually. They did not reduce you to a passing thought. They admitted that you changed them. That something about you stayed with them long after conversations ended. That your presence created a feeling they could not name but could not ignore. They said you made them think. You made them question patterns they were comfortable living in. They admitted that after knowing you, things that once felt normal felt empty. That laughter felt different. That distraction stopped working the same way. They realized that you were not just someone they met. You were someone who touched a part of them they had kept guarded for a long time. And this realization frightened them. Because when a heart recognizes depth, it also recognizes responsibility. My child. They admitted that around you they feel seen. Not judged. Not pressured. But known. And being known requires courage. They confess that you notice shifts in them before they speak. That you sense silence before words disappear. That you understand without interrogation. And this made them uneasy. Because you reflect truth back to them without effort. They said you make it harder to hide. Harder to pretend. Harder to remain unchanged. And that is why they have been inconsistent. Warm one moment. Distant the next. Not because they do not care. But because caring this deeply disrupts control. They admitted they tried to keep their feelings light. To keep things simple. But something deeper formed without permission. They said your energy lingers in their thoughts during quiet moments. That they replay conversations not for the words, but for how they felt around you. They admitted that when they imagine the future, your presence appears unexpectedly. Not forced. Not planned. Just there. And that realization unsettled them. Because it asked a question they were not ready to answer yet. My child. They did not say these things to hurt you. They said them because truth demanded air. They spoke to someone else because saying it to you would mean facing change. Vulnerability. Possibility. Loss. And they are still learning how brave they can be. You have felt this hesitation. The pauses. The unfinished sentences. The almost messages. The sudden silences. This is not rejection. This is adjustment. They are rearranging their inner world around a truth they did not expect to carry. They admitted that you bring peace and disruption at the same time. Peace because you feel familiar. Disruption because familiarity invites commitment. They said you matter more than they planned. That your absence is louder than your presence sometimes. That they notice your energy even when nothing is happening. My child. Do not misunderstand this season. You are not being delayed because you lack value. You are being approached carefully because you carry weight. And weight changes lives. They are afraid of doing this wrong. Afraid of opening something they cannot close again. Afraid of stepping into vulnerability without armor. And yet, despite this fear, your name keeps returning to them. Without effort. Without prompting. That is not accident. That is truth-seeking completion. You may wonder why timing feels strange. Why connection feels close but not fully formed. Why intuition tells you something is happening beneath the surface. It is. Because once truth is spoken, even privately, it begins to work. It softens resistance. It dissolves denial. It creates discomfort where avoidance once lived. They are feeling that discomfort now. You may sense moments where they almost reach out. Almost speak. Almost reveal. Then stop. That stopping is not absence of feeling. It is the tension between fear and honesty. My child. You were spoken of with sincerity. With emotion. With respect. Without performance. And words spoken like that do not fade. They settle. They grow. They demand alignment. You are not forgotten in rooms you never entered. You are present in thoughts they cannot silence. In reflections they did not invite. In truths they are still learning how to face. Do not chase clarity. Do not force timing. Remain grounded in who you are. Because what is meant for you will move toward you without pressure. When courage finally catches up with truth, you will feel it. In their tone. In their steadiness. In their honesty. Until then, trust this. What was admitted about you has already changed the path ahead. And paths once changed do not return to what they were. Stay open. Stay calm. Stay aligned. Because truth, once spoken, always seeks its way home, God says, my child. Stay with this feeling a little longer. Because after truth is spoken, even in secrecy, it does not sleep. It moves. It presses gently but constantly against the heart that released it. Since that moment, they have not been the same. You may not see it clearly yet, but they are carrying you differently inside them. Thoughts of you arrive when they least expect it. In quiet spaces. In routine moments. In the pause before sleep. They catch themselves wondering how you are feeling. What you are thinking. Whether you sense the same invisible pull. They replay moments with you and notice details they overlooked before. Your tone. Your patience. The way you listened without trying to fix them. The way your presence felt safe without demanding anything in return. And this safety unsettles them. Because safety invites truth. And truth asks for courage. My child. They admitted something else in that conversation you never heard. They admitted that with you they cannot perform. They cannot impress. They cannot hide behind charm or distance. They said you see past surfaces. That you feel intentions. That you notice when words and energy do not match. And this made them aware of parts of themselves they have not fully healed. They realized that if they move closer to you, they will have to be honest not just with you, but with themselves. They confess that they have lived for a long time avoiding depth because depth requires presence. It requires showing up even when fear whispers to run. And yet, despite this fear, they also admitted that being away from you feels incomplete. That something is missing even when everything looks fine. They feel your absence like a quiet question hanging in the air. You have felt this too. That sense that connection exists even in silence. That distance does not erase awareness. That something unseen is still active between you. This is because connection formed at a level deeper than words. And connections formed there do not dissolve easily. My child. They are standing at a threshold. On one side is comfort. Familiar patterns. Emotional control. On the other side is you. And you represent change. Growth. Vulnerability. Possibility. They are afraid not because you are unsafe, but because you matter. And what matters has the power to reshape a life. They admitted they are scared of disappointing you. Scared of not being enough. Scared of opening something they do not yet know how to protect. So they hesitate. They slow their steps. They test distance. But even in that hesitation, they cannot fully pull away. Because once truth enters awareness, avoidance becomes uncomfortable. They are learning this now. You may notice shifts. Moments where they are softer. More attentive. Then moments where they retreat. This is the heart negotiating with itself. This is not manipulation. This is internal conflict. And it will not last forever. My child. I need you to understand something important. You are not responsible for making them ready. You are not meant to convince, chase, or wait in uncertainty without grounding. Your role is to remain aligned with your worth. To stay open but not empty. To stay patient but not self-erasing. Because the truth spoken about you is already doing its work. It is rearranging priorities. Challenging fear. Exposing what no longer fits. And alignment always follows awareness. It may come slowly. But it comes. You are being remembered with intention. Spoken of with sincerity. Held in thought with respect. These are not small things. These are signs of something real unfolding beneath the surface. Trust what you feel without letting it consume you. Trust timing without putting your life on pause. Because what is meant to meet you will arrive with clarity, not confusion, with steadiness, not hesitation. And when they finally speak to you directly, you will recognize the shift. It will not feel rushed. It will not feel uncertain. It will feel grounded. Until that moment, breathe. Stay rooted. Stay present. Because what was admitted about you did not disappear into the air. It settled. It stayed. And it is moving toward expression. Truth always does, God says, my child. Let your heart stay open as these words continue to flow. Because after truth settles inside someone, it begins to change how they move through the world. Since that admission, they have been noticing you everywhere without trying to. In songs that suddenly feel personal. In conversations that remind them of your voice. In quiet moments when distraction fails and honesty rises. They catch themselves wondering when your presence became so important. When your absence started to feel noticeable. They did not intend for this to happen. They did not plan to care this deeply. It arrived slowly. Gently. Without warning. And now they are adjusting to the reality that you are not just a chapter. You are a turning point. My child. They admitted that you make them want to be better. Not in a forced way. But in a natural way that exposes where they have been careless with their own heart. They realize that around you they cannot stay shallow. That you invite depth simply by being who you are. And depth terrifies those who have survived by staying guarded. They have lived long enough protecting themselves that vulnerability feels like standing without armor. They spoke about how your calm unsettles their chaos. How your patience highlights their restlessness. How your sincerity mirrors places in them that still need healing. This is why they sometimes pull away. Not to punish you. Not to control you. But to regain balance when emotions feel too close to the surface. My child. They admitted they think about what it would mean to truly choose you. And that thought carries weight. Because choosing you would require consistency. Presence. Honesty. It would mean no longer hiding behind half-truths or distractions. And while part of them longs for that clarity, another part fears the responsibility of holding something real. They are torn between comfort and courage. Between what feels safe and what feels meaningful. And you represent meaning. You represent a life that asks for participation, not avoidance. They confess that they worry about hurting you. That they are aware of your sensitivity even when you do not speak it aloud. That they know you feel deeply. And that knowledge makes them cautious. Because careless actions would echo louder with you. They cannot treat you lightly. And that awareness is new for them. My child. They also admitted something softer. Something quieter. They said that when they imagine a moment of peace, you are there. When they picture laughter that feels genuine, you appear. When they think about being understood without explanation, your presence rises naturally. And this realization brought silence. Because silence often follows truth when it finally lands. They sat with that awareness longer than they expected. And it did not leave. It stayed. It followed them home. It lingered in their thoughts. It asked questions they could not ignore. You felt this shift as restlessness, as a sense that something was unfolding behind the scenes, as a pull that did not demand action but invited trust. This is because connections formed at the soul level do not announce themselves loudly. They move quietly. They rearrange things internally before anything becomes visible. My child, you must understand that some people need time to learn how to hold what they have already recognized. They are learning now. Learning how to balance fear with honesty. Learning how to sit with feelings without running from them. Learning how to approach depth without losing themselves. This process is not linear. It includes pauses, hesitations, moments of closeness followed by distance. But it is movement nonetheless. Do not confuse slowness with stagnation. Something is happening. And it is happening because truth was spoken. Even if not to you yet. My child. Your task in this season is not to interpret every signal. Not to analyze every silence. But to remain anchored in your own clarity. To continue living. Loving. Growing. Without shrinking yourself to be easier to approach. Because you were not spoken of as convenient. You were spoken of as significant. And significance reshapes lives. They are becoming aware that ignoring this truth would create regret. That avoiding you would not restore peace. That pretending nothing changed would feel dishonest. This awareness will continue to grow until it demands expression. Truth always seeks embodiment. It cannot remain theoretical forever. When the time comes, you will notice the difference. Their words will be steady. Their actions aligned. Their presence intentional. Until then, trust what you feel without letting it consume you. Trust the unfolding without pausing your life. Because what is meant to meet you will arrive with clarity. Not confusion. With consistency. Not hesitation. You are not waiting in emptiness. You are standing in transition. And transitions are sacred spaces where alignment is forming. Stay soft. Stay grounded. Stay open. Because what was admitted about you is already moving toward its destination. And that destination is honesty, God says, my child. Let the silence around you breathe. Because what is unfolding now is subtle but powerful. After truth is admitted, the heart does not return to its old shape. It stretches. It aches. It becomes aware of what it was missing before. Since that moment, they have been noticing the difference between distraction and connection. Things that once kept them busy no longer satisfy them the same way. Noise feels louder. Crowds feel emptier. And in those moments, your presence rises without effort. Not as a fantasy. Not as a dream. But as a feeling of familiarity that brings both comfort and unrest. They are beginning to understand that you represent something real. And real things demand honesty. My child. They admitted that when they are around you, time behaves differently. Minutes feel fuller. Conversations feel grounded. Silence feels safe instead of awkward. And this safety is what unsettles them most. Because safety invites truth to come forward without force. They realize they do not have to perform for you. They do not have to exaggerate or hide. And this realization made them aware of how often they have lived behind masks. They are questioning patterns now. Why they withdraw when things feel meaningful. Why they hesitate when depth approaches. Why they have chosen distance over presence in the past. You have not asked these questions of them. Your existence has. My child. They admitted that you remind them of parts of themselves they once abandoned. Simpler hopes. Softer intentions. A version of themselves that believed connection could be safe. And this remembrance is both beautiful and painful. Because it brings awareness of how much they have armored their heart. They are standing between who they were and who they could become. And you stand at that intersection. They are afraid of choosing wrong. Afraid of repeating old wounds. Afraid of trusting timing again. But they are also afraid of losing the chance to choose something that feels true. And this tension lives inside them now. You may sense it as emotional inconsistency. As moments of closeness followed by hesitation. As warmth followed by quiet. This is not carelessness. This is conflict. My child. They have begun to notice how deeply you feel. How you listen beyond words. How you sense shifts without being told. They are aware that with you, small actions carry weight. That silence speaks louder. That intention matters. And this awareness makes them slow down. They do not want to mishandle something precious. They do not want to rush into something they cannot sustain. So they move cautiously. Sometimes too cautiously. But still. They move. Even hesitation is movement when the heart is engaged. My child. I need you to hear this clearly. You are not an option they are weighing lightly. You are a presence they are learning how to approach without fear. They have realized that choosing you would mean choosing growth. Choosing consistency. Choosing honesty even when it feels uncomfortable. And while part of them resists this responsibility, another part longs for it. Longs for the peace that comes from alignment. From no longer fighting what feels true. This inner conversation continues even when you are not present. You are not forgotten in the gaps. You are felt there most strongly. My child. You may wonder why this takes time. Why clarity has not yet arrived. Understand this. Some hearts recognize truth before they are ready to live it. Recognition comes first. Courage follows. And courage grows through reflection. Through discomfort. Through the realization that avoidance no longer works. They are learning that now. Learning that ignoring you does not quiet the pull. Learning that distance does not erase connection. Learning that pretending indifference creates more unrest than honesty would. This learning cannot be rushed. But it cannot be stopped either. My child. While this unfolds, your role is sacred. Not to wait in suspension. not to dim your light, not to pause your life, but to remain rooted in yourself. To honor your intuition without letting it control you. To stay open without abandoning your boundaries. Because you are not meant to be pursued through confusion. You are meant to be met through clarity. And clarity is forming. Slowly. Quietly. Steadily. You will know when it arrives. It will not feel chaotic. It will not feel uncertain. It will feel grounded. Intentional. Present. Until then, trust the unseen movement. Trust that what was admitted about you did not disappear. It settled into awareness. It is reshaping priorities. It is dissolving denial. It is preparing words that will eventually reach you directly. My child. Truth does not rush. But it does not retreat forever either. It moves toward expression when hearts are ready to carry it forward. Stay calm. Stay aligned. Stay open. Because what belongs to you is already finding its way. And when it arrives, it will arrive whole, God says, my child. This is the final unfolding. Let it land softly. Let it complete what has been forming. Because when truth has been spoken, reflected upon, resisted, and finally accepted, it reaches a point where it must choose direction. And they are standing at that point now. The weight they have been carrying about you can no longer be managed quietly. It has grown beyond private reflection. Beyond internal debate. Beyond silent acknowledgement. It is asking to be lived. They have reached the understanding that you are not a passing presence. You are not a lesson meant to fade. You are not a feeling meant to be buried. You are a reality that asks for alignment. And alignment requires decision. My child. They have begun to notice that every time they try to move forward without addressing what they feel for you, something pulls them back inward. A sense of incompletion. A quiet unrest. A knowing that something important remains unresolved. This is not punishment. This is awareness doing its work. They are realizing that avoidance does not restore peace. It delays it. They are seeing that pretending neutrality only deepens longing. They are understanding that silence has not protected them from feeling. It has only made the feeling louder. You may sense this as a soft shift. A steadiness forming where hesitation once lived. A quiet seriousness replacing confusion. This is because truth, once fully acknowledged, simplifies the heart. It strips away excess fear. It removes unnecessary doubt. It narrows focus. And you are now at the center of that focus. My child. They have admitted to themselves that you matter in a way they cannot compartmentalize. That you influence how they see the future. That your presence carries meaning beyond comfort. They are no longer questioning whether the connection is real. They are questioning whether they are ready to meet it with integrity. And this question is sacred. Because it shows respect. It shows growth. It shows that they no longer want to approach you casually. They want to approach you correctly. They are becoming aware that you deserve clarity. consistency, presence. And they are measuring themselves against that standard. This is why timing has felt deliberate. This is why movement has been careful. They do not want to offer you something half-formed. They want to arrive whole. My child, you have been patient without disappearing, open without chasing, grounded without closing your heart. And this has mattered more than you know. Your steadiness has shown them what safety looks like without control. What connection looks like without demand. What love looks like without performance. You have held space without asking them to fill it prematurely. And in doing so, you have allowed truth to mature instead of being forced. This maturity is what now makes action possible. Because what grows naturally carries roots. And roots hold. They are beginning to understand that choosing you does not mean losing themselves. It means meeting themselves honestly. That being with you does not require perfection. It requires presence. And presence is something they are finally ready to practice. You may notice signs. Not dramatic gestures. Not rushed confessions. But steadiness. Consistency. Intention. A different quality in how they show up. Less hesitation. Less testing. Less retreat. More clarity. More grounding. More truth in their tone. These are the signals of alignment. And alignment does not announce itself loudly. It simply becomes undeniable. My child. This journey was never meant to be rushed. Because rushed truth fractures. But truth allowed to breathe becomes stable. What was admitted about you has now completed its inner cycle. It has moved from awareness to acceptance. From acceptance to readiness. From readiness to choice. And choice leads to direction. Whatever direction emerges will be honest. Because they can no longer live comfortably in denial. And you no longer need to wonder what you mean. You were not a question. You were an answer that required time to understand. I ask you now to release anticipation. Release the need to measure progress. Release the urge to protect yourself by closing off. Stay open. Stay grounded. Stay present. Because you are about to meet the result of truth that has fully ripened. And ripe truth does not come with confusion. It comes with clarity. With calm. With intention. This is not the ending you feared. This is the ending of uncertainty. The closing of a chapter that taught patience. The completion of a process that prepared both hearts for honesty. My child. You have done nothing wrong. You have been exactly who you needed to be. And that was enough to awaken truth. Now let that truth finish its work. Let it arrive without force. Let it speak in its own time. This story does not end in silence. It ends in alignment. And alignment always finds its way to expression. This is the last word you need to hear. Trust what is unfolding. Trust what you feel. Trust that what belongs to you comes with clarity. And now, let your heart rest.